Hello, everybody. I am Miranda Lievers, COO at Thinkific, and I'm here today with Andrew and Pete, the super fun, dynamic content marketing duo of andrewandpete.com. You can check them out there. You can also check them out on their YouTube channel at andrewandpete.tv. We'll get you straight there. Just search YouTube. And I'm excited to chat with them today all about content marketing and how you as small business owners and entrepreneurs can really stand out using content and get the most out of the effort that you're putting into your content efforts. So guys, welcome. I'm so thrilled to chat with you today and excited you're here.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you so much for having us. We are ready to rock. I know you're at your start of the day. We are at the end of our day, so we are caffeine to the eyeballs, and we are bursting.
We're going to the pub after this.
Perfect. Yeah, it's too early in the day for me. I haven't even had my coffee yet today, but I've got this spritzer water. We've got like this bubbly water situation, so I'm good. It's exciting things in our office. But anyway,
I feel like my water is suddenly not as remarkable.
We need some bubbly water,
right? I know we have a bubbly water machine, but anyway, like
you mean like gin and tonic? Is that really what you're drinking?
So if it wasn't 8:30 in the morning, sometimes late in the day there is gin in my bubbly water, but not so early in the morning for me. Anyway, so let's chat a little bit more about what it is that you guys are up to and what you guys are doing. So I know that you're doing like a lot on YouTube right now. So what does that look like? So what kind of content are you sharing there, and what are you talking about right now?
Yeah, so we like to inspire fellow entrepreneurs and business owners we hate the phrase think outside the box, but that's the only time I'm going to use it in this whole interview. But just think a little bit outside the box with the content, right? Because our opinion is that content marketing is amazing. It's grown our business, grown our clients' business so much, but it's not novel anymore, right? And a lot of people are kind of using this excuse with content marketing is that it's a long-term strategy for them not getting results straight away. And we don't really like that, especially as small business owners. We can't afford for our marketing strategies to only come into actually returns 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years down the road. So for us, we were like blogging and we were content creating for a long time. And it really wasn't doing all that much for us, to be honest. Like we were tweeting, we were on LinkedIn, we were creating blogs for our site. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, where we got a lot of our business from in the early years was networking, right? Because when we went networking, we just had fun with it. So we were 21, fresh out of university, and we suddenly realized in these big rooms of people that we couldn't just be like the other suited and booted marketers, because quite frankly we looked ridiculous in our suits. We looked about 12.
That's about 12.
Mm-hmm. So we went to these networking events, right, and we caused a little bit of a ruckus. So we went sometimes dressed as zombies. We went and we threw chocolate across the room. We had indoor fireworks. Yeah, and we just like completely made a little name for ourselves quite locally, okay? But we were frustrated because what we really wanted was this world domination, right? That's always been our plan from day one, world domination. And our online platforms were just not doing it for us. And when we actually looked at it, it was because it was boring. Yeah, it was just the same as everyone else's. And like, if you knew us from our networking days to like going and checking out our websites, there was just complete contrast there. So we started putting a lot more personality, a lot more of us into our actual content. And it wasn't like a long-term strategy. Like things took off almost, I hate saying like overnight, but like pretty much immediately we started growing our awareness online. We started getting a lot more speaking gigs, started getting a lot more clients from our content. And that's what we really love to teach people how to do themselves. That was a long answer to a short question.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's true, like we see it all the time, like people doing the same old thing, same average content, and they're just hitting their head against the wall thinking it's this long-term strategy that one day is going to pay off. Well, guess what? It's not actually going to pay off.
Yeah.
You're just going to get the same average results.
Yeah.
Unless you step it up.
No, blog 205 is the magic number.
Yeah, it just doesn't work like that. So we want to teach people, like, get to that point, like, people say, you know, it's 5-year strategy. It's only because after 5 years they get to a point where they're actually really good at it and they're doing something a little bit different from everyone else. Like, get to that point sooner. Like, start at that point today. And that's what we want to help people do, because you're going to grow so much quicker. Like, literally, as Andrew said, like, we got our first comments and it was like, holy crap, like, people are commenting and sharing our content for once. Like, this has never happened before in the last 4 years. Like, I didn't think people did that. And it's because the content's starting to work, and, you know, you'll get more subscribers, you'll get more fans, you'll get more people to actually buy from you and share everything that you do. So that's the message that we want to get out there.
Awesome. I feel like I have one of my sort of like controversial opinions that sometimes gets rise out of people that I feel that you guys will just like cheer me for, which is I want to write an article about how like blogging and like traditional blogging is like killing small business owners like everywhere, because so many small business owners are just told it's like, well, you have to be blogging, you have to do content marketing, and then they're sort of sitting and killing hours upon hours upon hours every single week blogging on a page that nobody else is visiting, and just waiting until one day Google will smile kindly upon them and send all sorts of traffic. And it just breaks my heart.
So it's so true, isn't it? It's like blogging for blogging's sake. That's what a lot of small businesses are doing. And it's just like, what we say is you need to find, even if we're not looking for huge monetary results straight away, but if you've been blogging constantly and you're not even getting like one like or one comment or even like one person saying to you like over the phone, hey, I read that blog and it was really good, you're doing something wrong. Because we should be getting just a little reaction, even from a small group of like super fans immediately, and then we can kind of scale that up. But like test out different content types till you get that reaction.
Yeah. How do you, like, for a new small business owner who's just getting started with wanting to create content, where do you recommend that people even start in terms of platforms and getting eyes? Like, do you suggest that they start on their own blog and then try to drive traffic there? Do you suggest that they hit up YouTube, somewhere else? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, so if you are just getting started, then you are going to have to build an audience somewhere first. And this is where kind of social media comes nicely into play. What a lot of people do when they are starting out is they are very reactive, right? So they're creating all this content, or they might start posting on social media, and they are waiting for people to come and talk to them. And it's not that easy anymore, especially on social media, to grow these big audiences where no one knows who you are, right? So what we say in the beginning is, yes, we should be creating content, but we also need to be really proactive in actually having conversations on other people's content first. So like, don't wait around. A lot of like our clients come to us and say, just started this business, I've got no time for content marketing. We say step one is, if you've got maybe like 10, 15 minutes a day or a week, like, don't bother scheduling a ton of posts on Hootsuite or whatever. Just go and comment on other people's stuff. And go start having conversations with other people. That's how you kind of build an audience.
And tying into that as well, choose like a dominant platform. So what we see is a lot of people, they'll start up and they'll have a blog and a podcast, and they'll do a few YouTube videos. And then the main platform is Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, obviously, and then Twitter, and then Snapchat. Just everything. And they get so overwhelmed, going back to what you were saying earlier about businesses just killing themselves, like doing these blogs, and they're getting nowhere with it. Like, build that audience first on one platform, get really good at one thing, and then you can spread out. Like, then you can branch out a little bit further. But really, really focus on one platform. Like, whatever that is to you, like, it needs to almost hit the Venn diagram of like what's relevant to your audience, what you're good at, and, you know, where you can stand out from your competitors. Like, if you can get in the middle of that kind of diagram, that's going to be the sweet spot of where to start.
And I think for new businesses, that whole standout piece of that Venn diagram is really important, because that's literally how we got started. Like, no one knew who we were, and we were just a little bit ballsy, and we reached out to some of these bigger names to collaborate. And if they checked us out and we were just like every other kind of small-time marketer, then we probably would have got a lot of no's. But because people could look at our content, resonate with us, maybe think, okay, these guys are onto something, or I love the way that these guys are presenting this information, then I think that's why I really asked some of the big people that we collaborated with early why they said yes, but I think it was because of that, because it was a little bit different and we could bring something, maybe a different thing to their audience, right? If we could bring this kind of fun marketing element to their audiences, then
It's going to make them
that's why, it's going to make them look good and it's going to bring something different. So think about, right, what can you bring to the table that not everyone else is doing?
Awesome. One of the things that I love, you guys have touched on it a couple of different ways and a couple of different times, is really that connection piece and building actual real world like relationships and connecting with people. Because I think that sometimes, I don't know, it's sort of funny because like when you think about like a local business in your, your town or city, you always think about that as like a personal relationship. Like, your baker or you have your yoga instructor and you know who they are and you see them around town, and it's all about, and to build a business locally is all about relationships and being face to face. And yet somehow when we go online, sometimes I think that we forget that it's actually still about relationships, but now it's actually harder because we have to sort of reach through the camera and the computer in order to build those relationships. But it sounds like you guys have been quite effective at that.
Yeah, I think that's so important. You really hit home on a crucial point there, because people do forget, like they're online and all of a sudden they just forget to be polite, right? Or they forget that it's almost like being in the room with somebody and they're there just ignoring everyone else. Do you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't do that in a networking event, so why would you do that in social, right? If you're in a group and you're just lingering and you don't do anything, you're that creepy person in the corner of the room, right? So get involved, get replying to.
Don't be the creepy person in the corner of the room.
No. Exactly. And we'll give two cool takeaways on this, right? To get across this personal connection a little bit more en masse. Number one is personal videos to people. So if someone's tweeting at you and you're having a conversation, or you want to build a relationship with someone, send a Twitter video reply. They take 2 seconds to make, and you're on camera. It's the closest thing to actually being there in person with them. And it's so easy to make, and it's so personal. And every time we do it, every time we'll get a reply saying, wow, that was amazing that you made a video just for me. And it's dead easy to do, but it's fun to do, and they love it. So that's a really good tip to get some extra personal connection. And the second thing is, when people actually respond to your content, you need to start a conversation. So what we see is people go into all this effort to get engagement on their posts. And when someone finally replies and says, hey guys, that was a great post, all they do is say, thanks. I mean, what is that?
Or even worse, thumbs up emoji.
Thumbs up emoji. It's a slap in the face. Because if you did that
in person, that's just rude.
Yeah.
Right. And we see it all the time. I'd rather they just didn't reply. Rather than just say thanks or cheers. Start a conversation hey, thank you so much. Did you use some of the tips? Or what are your favorite tips on this subject too? Or have you tried this yet? Have you started that? Or what do you actually do then if this is helpful to you? Start a conversation of some kind with these people.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. Facebook wants this deep and meaningful connections, right? Whatever that means. Well, it means actually conversations, people talking to each other. And you can be proactive and start that off.
Amazing. So one of the things so on this topic of relationships and connection, obviously you guys are talking to lots of small business owners and entrepreneurs and teaching people how to be better with their content marketing and be better with their, with what they're doing. Do you have any stories that you can share about small business owners or entrepreneurs that you've worked with that have sort of walked through this magical door and come out the other side and maybe had some aha moments or really big impacts to their businesses?
I mean, yeah. So the great thing is with our community, we hear about these success stories every single day, which is makes it so rewarding for us. So we log into our membership site group and it's hey guys, I've just trebled my sales this month, or hey guys, like I've just landed my dream client. And like that for us is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So
we're actually documenting a lot of those on our blog as well. If you go to andrewandpete.com/blog, a lot of our members are actually guest posting on our site, talking about things that they've implemented in their business and what's really worked for them.
Yeah, so you can, like, as a listener, you can go check that out and just see what they've done, how it's impacted them. Like, we had this one member, Louise, she came on board, and she was getting loads of inquiries from the wrong people. And she went through our like program on Atomic, and within that first month, she quadrupled her sales inquiries from the actual people she wanted to get inquiries from. Like, and that was like amazing for her. And you know, within a month to quadruple like your inquiries is just like really cool, right?
Yeah.
We've had other
she
members.
was also, sorry, just to stick with Louise for a second. She was also a bit ballsy, right? Because she's in the proofreading and editing business, which is all predominantly writing blogs. So one of the first things we said to her when she jumped into Atomic was do video, right? Be the only person doing video in this space. And she was like, no, I'm not doing that. So we prodded her and prodded her and prodded her. And she started doing it, and she wrote a full blog on it's called The Reluctant Blogger. Go and check it out on our website, about how just using a different medium is sometimes a great way just to stand out above the noise in your industry. Yeah,
like she literally had an inquiry like that week after launching her first video, saying like, oh, I really, really loved you on camera, and I wasn't going to contact you, but after I found out that you were so nice and lovely from that video, I actually went ahead and I would really like to edit my book.
Yeah.
And it was like, awesome, right?
I think there's a misconception when we're creating all this content. We need huge, huge numbers because we see all kind of the big names with hundreds and thousands of subscribers. And it's not true at all, right? You don't need that many people to actually make an impact with the right kinds of people.
Yeah, I love that. You actually just reminded me of an example of my own. So I inherited a small boat last year, and so it's like, but it's like just like boat stands for like bust out another 1,000. Like it's really expensive to have a boat. But anyways, I inherited the boat. But then so one of my goals was to learn how to fish, because of course I live on the coast, and so I was looking online, and there's actually a local fishing charter company who has this amazing Facebook page, and they post all of these really great videos. Like they're just posting video all the time of them like out there fishing and having a good time. And and I haven't like gone out fishing with them yet. I am going to, because I figure it's way better to like go learn from somebody else who can teach me how to fish, and then I'll just try to replicate it on my own, in my own, like, you know, when nobody else can see what I'm doing and screwing up and stuff. But anyways, anyways, it's so cool, because like who would have thought fishing charter, social media, and like video, and yet they've got all this video. It's really engaging. As far as I'm concerned, no other fishing charter people exist. So it's like an industry for sure.
That's
That is
perfect.
amazing.
That's perfect.
We even had just like one more example. Like we had one of our members. They teach stress management, but in a really unique way. And they talk about stress in the medium of sprouts and cabbages. So so you might be really stressed, and that's like a big cabbage, and you know, you can't just eat or get rid of this big cabbage. It's like massive, right? But if you step back, if you take some perspective, you realize that it's actually just a little sprout. Or if you break it down into sprouts or whatever, and then you can manage it.
He describes it way better than
he
just
does.
did.
Yeah. I didn't do it justice. But like he's been scouted out, and he's actually on TV with one of like Andrew's idols presenters, because like he was picked up because he was doing something completely unique and different from everyone else in that industry. And that's been amazing for him. Like he's now been on TV. He can actually have that on his website.
Yes.
As seen on TV, on a proper TV channel. Like
for cool. Sure. So being ballsy, you guys talk a lot about being ballsy, and you talked about like going to networking events in a costume or throwing around chocolate. But you know, the flip side sometimes of being that person that stands out from the crowd is that sometimes you sort of stick your foot in your mouth, or really have like a bit of a faux pas. Have you ever encountered that? Like, where has being ballsy with content backfired, and how did you learn from it? What did you do?
So we always say that you should be quite divisive.
Mm-hmm.
So you either get people to love you or hate you, because at the end of the day, if you're average, no one's going to buy your stuff, right? You need people to love you. In a world of like high competition, like average isn't going to cut it. So you need people to love you to stand out above the rest.
Yeah.
So a lot of our stuff is quite Marmite. You know, people will either absolutely love it and they'll die on the floor laughing at our stuff, or they'll tell us they love it and it's helped them so much. Or they'll go, hey guys, so that was a little bit cringy. Have you got like a more serious video on that?
These are actual emails that we get.
We're like, no, shut off, like go away. Because, you know, and that does hurt, because like we're people pleasers and we want everyone to like us. But sometimes you have to roll with the punches there a little bit.
I guess, I was going to say, we are talking about being ballsy and kind of putting your head out above the crowd. That doesn't necessarily mean doing it like we've done it. Like, you don't need to be funny. You don't need to be daft. You don't need to dress up as zombies. But you do need to be different to other people in your industry. So one of the things that we talk about a lot in our books is come up with your 3 standout brand values that you can kind of run all of your content and even all of like your just general business decisions by. But these brand values need to be actually unique to you. So when we start talking about brand values, a lot of people say words like, well, I'm unique because I'm friendly, or I'm professional, or I care about my customers. And we're like, they're all great things. It's amazing that you care about your customers, but who doesn't? Yeah? Who isn't professional? So we really want to dig deep and actually find out what is unique about you. And we have never yet failed when working with someone to find out what actually makes them different. So we've got a few like probing questions, but basically what we do is we get them to say as many words as possible that answers the question, how do you want to be described when you're not in the room, right? And we just push them and push them and push them for more and more answers to that question. And it always boils down into 3 kind of main brand values. And you can't have more than 3, because if you have more than 3, then you're going to forget them. But just 3 words or phrases or things that make you different, and make sure your content is in line with those.
So we use that to, you know, reflect how we want to appear online with our content, and it acts as like a framework. So we know that so long as our content is within that boundary of our framework, that it's forever going to be fine, and our audience is going to love it, and we're going to be consistent, and people are going to describe us as the 3 brand values that we have, because we've said it so much in different ways subtly throughout our content. So if you were to say, if we ask people that know, like, that have followed our content, how would you describe Andrew and Pete? They literally like relate back to us, our brand values, which we have like been putting out there subconsciously to everyone.
It's like you don't tell people what your brand values are, but you just make sure it comes across in the content. It sounds a little bit fluffy, but it's honestly not. And if you actually go check out our blog, there's a blog recently from someone called Jenny who went through this exact process and landed her dream client within like a few months just by changing up her brand values.
Awesome.
Because people can reflect with it, you know, like people don't come to us if they're like a really stuck up, like hard-nosed, analytical, like person, like who has no sense of humor, right? Like in a nice way. We still love those people. But, you know, we get the people that come to us and go like, hey guys, I love your stuff and you're so funny. And, you know, I want to be a little bit more like you and, you know, do things like you. I think what people find an issue is they're maybe a little bit scared of doing the things, like being a little bit daft, a little bit of humor, or having that creative edge, doing things a little bit differently. Like Andrew said, you don't have to be funny or daft or silly, like sometimes we can be. There's lots of other ways to stand out. You can do really, really amazing in-depth things. You can do highly emotional stuff. You can do talk, stories. You can do loads of cool stuff. And sometimes it's just about starting small. So you don't necessarily have to compare yourselves to us and how creative we are, because we've been building up to that, right? If you're just starting out trying to be a little bit more creative, just take small steps. Put out a little post. If it gets a good reaction, do a blog on that, or expand it a little, do a video on that and see what that gets. Mm-hmm. If people love that, go ahead and do it a little bit further and do a course on it, a book on it, or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, take little bits of inspiration and build up, essentially. Because then you know you're going to be comfortable with it.
Yeah. I don't think we've made any huge faux pas. I wish we had a really good answer to that question. Yeah. Maybe one day. Maybe one day we'll be like, yep, that was a faux pas.
So we've talked about standing out. We've talked about being ballsy and being ballsy that's right for you. We've talked about relationship building, all of those great things. What about the second step? And so what I mean by that is, like, once somebody's seen your content, making sure that you have a way to continue to contact them. And specifically, I want to talk about the fact that, like, when I was on your website earlier today, you had a pop-up for like a lead magnet, but it actually was like a send to messenger, as opposed to, like, so that's Facebook Messenger for those listening, as opposed to like giving an email address. Can you tell us about that and what that strategy looks like?
Yeah, so like we say, there's two types of content. We've got like the primary rich content, which is all the helpful or fun, useful stuff. And then we've got like the secondary content, which is there to like sell our products and services, right? And the link in between there is really to get people to raise their hand and say that they are interested. Now, we love doing that with like email lead capture, but bots, like, we've fallen in love with so much, because we can actually get a better return on getting people onto our bot first and then our email, or even just from our bot straight onto a sale. So the moment someone comes onto our messenger bot, so you can check this out if you go on our website. There's links to go get onto our bot in lots of different places. Or if you go to facebook.com/ m.me/Andrew and Pete, m.me/Andrew and Pete. Just click get started. Like, we'll ask you stuff. Like, it literally says like, hey, are you a blogger, a podcaster, a video producer? Like, are you a solopreneur? How long have you been going? Like, have you ever thought about this? And it'll ask questions and almost like segment people, so that later on we can go, hey, I know you said that you were blogging, but have you ever thought about producing a podcast? Mm-hmm. And if they haven't, you can go through a questionnaire and we can send them to content that we have about podcasting. Yeah. And hey, guess what? We've got a show about podcasting on Atomic. Would you like to join and get access to this whole show? So it can segment people and point them in the right direction.
Yeah. Bots have got a really bad rap, we know, from a lot of people, and a lot of people hate them. But we're kind of on the mindset of, you're not hating the medium, you're hating how people are using them. And if someone's doing something badly, for us at least, we're not like, well, that's not a reason for us to not do them. Is that not a good reason to do them well and actually be the person that people say, I love Andrew and Pete's bot? Yeah. So, but the thing with bots that people are doing really badly is that they think it's just an email marketing copy, when it's not, right? With bots, the best thing about them is that you can actually have private DM conversations with people. Right. So we're using our bots not necessarily to replace conversation or just to send people somewhere. We're using our bots to start conversations with the right kinds of people, the people that have actually segmented themselves. You can even tap, like, go talk to Andrew and Pete. Yeah. And like, one of us personally, it's usually Pete, to be honest, will jump in and answer people's questions.
Yeah, because people are using it as a way to automate everything and get rid of like having to actually talk to people. Mm-hmm. Whereas actually the smarter move is to use automation to start qualified conversations, like with the right people. Yeah. So if you can whittle out, if let's say you have 1,000 people on your bot audience or whatever, if you can whittle out like 900 of those people via automation and find the 100 of people that are actually really willing to buy right now, and you can have a qualified conversation with them on their terms privately, that is incredibly powerful. It might be slightly time consuming, but it's worth it because they're almost guaranteed sales, or the most likely to be a sale. Because you've already used automation to whittle down everyone else. So it's actually a really, really nice way to talk to people, get to know your potential customers, and lead them to sales in a nice conversational way.
It's actually humanizing. Like, it's not necessarily bots aren't a way to replace or take away that human aspect. It's actually humanizing it more. And let's not forget, sometimes people don't want to talk to people. Like, how many questions do you have when you want to talk to a business, but you don't really want to talk to someone? You just want them to be able to give you the answer, like, automatically. That's what bots can do. Bots can be a great knowledge base where you can just answer the most common questions just at the click of a button.
It's like if someone goes into a department store, and then that person comes up and they go, "Hey, do you need help with anything?" And you're like, "No, like, go away, leave me alone."
Even though you maybe do, you just don't want to have the conversation.
You don't want to have that conversation.
I don't know if that's a British thing. If that translates. That, I was going to say Americans just love to talk.
Imagine if you're in the department store, you saw a top you really liked, but you didn't know it's the wrong size. Imagine if you could just like tap a button next to it and go, "Have you got this in a size blah blah?" And it says yes. And it's like, great, now I'm going to buy that. I don't want to have to go and talk to someone. Right? And that's the same thing with a bot. But if this is the only one in store and it's got a hole in it, and I want to know, like, when some more is going to come, like, I need to talk to someone, then you can talk to someone at the click of a button. Like, it's really, really powerful.
We are pro bot.
Yeah, pro bot.
That's so great, guys. I feel like we've kind of run the whole gamut of, like, a little bit of why to do it, a whole bunch about relationships, which I think is really important. We've talked about bots. We've talked about how to not, like, embarrass yourself or do, like, the wrong thing for your audience a little bit with being ballsy. If you guys could leave our audience with maybe, like, what should we do? Like, maybe like a challenge. So if people are listening and they've got a little bit of time today, what challenge would you leave our listeners with for how they can make a difference in their content marketing today?
Oh, one challenge.
How about, like, sending a Twitter video or something?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like, send a Twitter video to a potential customer. Or us. If you want.
Us. At Andrew and Pete.
At Andrew
on Twitter.
and Pete. Just send us. It's so easy. Like, go to Twitter, like, go to compose a tweet, and where it says, like, add a image or a video, like, click on that and then click on the record button. And you can just record in little snippets, and it all adds together in a little timeline and compiles it all together. And then you can hit send, or you can delete the bit you don't want. It's really easy, but it's so, so powerful.
Yes. Awesome. I even learned that today because it didn't even occur to me to do that, but that's such a good tip. So
that's why Snapchat and Instagram blew up, right? Because we could actually reply to people with our faces, right? But we've been able to do that on Twitter for years and years and years, and no one ever does it. I don't know why.
Amazing.
Fair, I do know why. It's because Twitter doesn't make it convenient.
It's not easy enough.
Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. This has been a really fun chat. For those listening, andrewandpete.com, go check out all their stuff. They have a really great membership site you should check out. You will rock and own the content marketing world in your industry if you do that. So go check it out. Thanks, guys, for joining me.
Thanks so much for having us, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.